you how I feel. So I'm tired of all the pain, of the misery inside, and I wish that I could live feeling nothing but the night. You can tell me what to say, you can tell me where to go, but I doubt that I would care, and my heart would never know. If I make another move, there'll be no more turning back, because everything will change and it all will fade to black. Will tomorrow ever come? Will I make it through the night? Will there ever be a place for the...
I'm pleased you could make it to this meeting, Rachel Alucard.
I suppose long time no see would be the appropriate response.
In your subjective time, it has been 19,792 hours, 41 minutes, 52 seconds.
Correct. For us, it has been 283,875 hours, 18 minutes, 24 seconds.
The difference between our subjective times is irrelevant.
How much of a discrepancy is there right now?
There is an observed 1 in 940,000 deviation from the predicted numbers.
Oh, interesting. You're saying almost nothing has changed?
Rachel Alucard, I think it is safe to say that there has been no change whatsoever. Even your hair remains unchanged.
So, nothing has changed. Although the word miracle is not exactly in our vocabulary, wouldn't you agree that your existence itself is a miracle of sorts?
Correct. We have, however, observed a rather intriguing change in the behavior of a certain mind.
Have you summoned me here simply to tell me that?
Why did you lift Restriction 0, Rachel Alucard?
We wish to know what you are trying to do with the Tsukuyomi unit.
Whatever my intentions for the Tsukuyomi unit, they have nothing to do with you.
Incorrect. Your actions in regard to the Tsukuyomi unit will impact our goals. We are currently re-evaluating the man's worth.
Indeed. Your actions do not seem to be entirely logical or even completely rational. Ragna the Blood Edge may be the origin, but he isn't where we should be focusing at this point.
We cannot understand what makes Ragna the Blood Edge so valuable, Rachel Alucard. I assume you are well aware of the value and significance of the Tsukuyomi unit?
Correct. It is impossible that Ragna the Blood Edge has greater value than the Susanoo unit. This is our conclusion.
I do not think his value is something you will ever understand.
We do not wish to meddle in your affairs, that much we will admit. That is why we accept the phenomenon that has occurred.
Affirmative. We will accept and then select appropriately.
Select? So you fancy yourselves gods now?
Negative. Takamagahara is a system built by humans. Anything which has been built by humans can never be designated as a god.
Furthermore, once a god has been observed, it can no longer continue to exist as a god and becomes nothing more than a thing.
Affirmative. The master unit is no exception.
And of course, the successor to the Azure, Noel Vermilion, is also governed by this rule.
Which is why, Rachel Alucard?
We would like to ask if you wish to become an observer of the boundary once again.
Although I very much enjoy keeping dogs as pets, my desires are not so twisted that I wish to become a lapdog myself.
Rachel Alucard, the outer perimeter is much closer to Takamagahara than you think.
Before you abandon the duties you have already accepted, please consider the amount of time that has already been invested in this endeavor.
Oh? I'm afraid I don't recall the precise amount.
Your response has been recorded and analyzed. We take it your answer is no.
How unfortunate. I had hoped things were going to be getting a little more enjoyable here again. Still, we had predicted that this would be the choice you would make.
We have already begun observation of the snake.
Then you were responsible for Terami's release.
Affirmative. We expect significant risk in initializing the destruction process.
He is really something of a maverick. Even we cannot govern him at times.
As such, we have prepared an exit strategy.
An exit strategy? Dare I ask what that might be?
Negative. We are unable to provide an answer to that query. Doing so would constitute unintended intervention.
Then you truly intend to reduce the world to nothing?
Nothing? Oh, don't be foolish. That would be pointless.
The world Takamagahara creates simply needs to be correct. In such a world, there would be no need for the master unit. It would only cause distortion.
Affirmative. Distortions caused by the master unit are currently being considered along with other possible outcomes as a result of the continuum shift.
The phenomena intervention of the master unit cannot be measured. As such, we spend too much time repairing its mistakes. We do not need any more accidents.
Affirmative. Takamagahara will initiate reconstruction without the intervention of the master unit.
Once again, the world will be back in the Azure.
Affirmative. The Azure will inherit the Takamagahara.
So long as the Azure exists, the world will exist as well, no matter what form it may take.
All forms of life return to the world of the Azure.
Excuse me. First Lieutenant Tsubaki Yayoi, reporting for duty.
Yes, hello there. I'm Hazama. I work for the Intelligence Department. It is a pleasure to meet you. So this is the famous daughter of the Yayoi family. Please, accept my apologies for making you come all the way out here. Yes, how rude of me. Let's see, well, I guess officially I'm a captain. But to be honest, we don't really bother much with ranks here at Intelligence, so don't worry about formality, okay?
Yeah, excuse me, Captain.
Come on, didn't I just say you don't need to be so stiff? Ah, well. Anyway, the reason I've called you here is because I need you to take care of something very sensitive. A sort of covert operation.
Is this an order from the Intelligence Department?
Huh? Ah, yes. I see where you're going. Please, don't worry about that. I know what your little team is for, First Lieutenant. I wouldn't bring you in for run-of-the-mill intel work. No. This is actually a direct order from the top. HQ, the Imperator. Proof? Yes, of course you'd want proof. Well, here, take a look. See? The seal of the Imperator.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to question you.
I told you not to worry. It's not a big deal, really. All right, shall we try this again? If you don't mind, I'll just tell you your orders. Like I said, this is covert, so it's better not to leave a paper trail, you know. Where was... Ah, yes. It's not really anything that difficult, but it is, how should I...
Sir!
All right, then. First Lieutenant Tsubaki Yayoi. Your orders are as follows. Determine the whereabouts of Major Jin Kisaragi and Lieutenant Noel Vermillion and terminate them.
Hazama's words left Tsubaki at a loss for her own. The man before her had just asked her to kill one of her best friends from the academy, and the man she adored as a brother since childhood.
What did they do to deserve
Tsubaki had built her career on unquestioning obedience and dedication to duty. To anyone other than Hazama, her response would have been nothing short of shocking. Then again, what person alive could keep their voice from trembling after being ordered to kill their friends?
Let's see here. It looks like the intelligence we've gathered says that Major Kisaragi has disobeyed orders on a number of occasions. And we've even seen reports of desertion. Supposedly, He was injured pretty seriously going after a large bounty.
That's impossible! How could Jin... Major Kisaragi, he would never...
Right, yes. We've also seen a number of reports saying that he's just been stirring up a lot of trouble. And, let's see... Well, we haven't managed to confirm this yet, but... Apparently he escaped from the hospital we'd put him in after his... accident. He also, took out a number of guards and a few officers on his way out. Now, as for Lieutenant Vermilion, she went after Major Kisaragi. Well, actually, she was under orders to do that, but... here we are. We've heard reports that she aided the SS-class bounty known as the Grim Reaper. Yes, this Grim Reaper is also apparently the person who caused Major Kisaragi's injuries and is, in fact, at the very top of the Librarium's most wanted list. The rebel Ragna the Blood Edge.
Jin deserted. And Noelle is helping a rebel?
The colour slowly drained from Tsubaki's face. She couldn't bring herself to believe what she was hearing.
Apparently, Major Kisaragi and Lieutenant Vermilion have some sort of connection to this Blood Edge fellow. Is something wrong? Stay with me now. Oh, actually, I guess that's all of it. You're free to go, First Lieutenant.
Still stunned, Tsubaki saluted automatically and walked out the door. Feeling only partially in control of her body, she was almost to the door when she heard Hazuma's voice from behind her.
Oh, right. There's one more little thing I forgot to mention. If it wouldn't be too much trouble, please, don't forget to bring back Major Kisaragi's Yukianasa and Lieutenant Vermilion's Bulwark, okay? Silly me. Actually, two things. You don't need to bother bringing their bodies back. They're traitors, so there won't be any sort of ceremony. I mean, to be honest, having a couple of corpses around would just kind of get in the way.
Tsubaki bit her lip at the man's words, but kept silent. Without so much as a nod or a salute, she walked out of the room.
Oh, man! This is just too good! We're just gonna shoot right past tragedy, straight into good old comedy!
Tsubaki let the doors to Captain Hazuma's office close behind her, and fell back against them, her strength gone. She felt dizzy, and thoughts flittered into and out of her mind before she could grab hold of it.
What am I gonna do? Jin. Noelle.
Excuse me, do you mind?
The voice startled Tsubaki out of her trance, and she looked up to see a man towering over her. She knew the man. Well, she knew his face. He was known throughout the librarium for being a master puppeteer, as well as for some more unpleasant things. She had never met him in person before. She had hoped perhaps she'd never...
Aurelius. Clover. Colonel. From engineering.
Tsubaki murmured the man's name, searching through her memories to piece together what she knew about him. He was tall, incredibly so. In fact, he was surprised Tsubaki... that's a different word. Fuck it. If he was surprised Tsubaki recognized him, he kept it to himself. He stared down at her, his face impassive.
Miss, if you'd be so kind as to get out of my way, I need to get through that door.
I'm sorry.
Quickly, Tsubaki moved out of his way, but Aurelius didn't even acknowledge her. He simply strode forward into Captain Hazuma's office as though he'd taken a moment to collect his thoughts. Not wait for a girl to move out of the way.
It's me. I'm coming in.
What could possibly be going on between the two of them?
Something about Captain Hazuma working with Colonel Aurelius made Tsubaki
Hazuma, are you ready? I can leave at any time.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can Can you just give me 3 more minutes? I just haven't been able to bring myself to get ready. In fact,
Quit procrastinating. But I can't believe it's Kagutsuchi. That place brings back so many memories. I believe that the 13th Prime Field has...
Tsubaki could just make out their conversation through a crack in the door. It was certainly interesting, and something told her that what they were discussing was of great importance, but eavesdropping, especially on 2 ranked officers, was something Tsubaki could not allow herself to do. Besides, there was much more important things on her mind, doing her best to silence the doubt that filled her mind, at least for the time being. Tsubaki turned her back to Hazuma's office and began.
The House of Yayoi had served the Imperator loyally for as long as anyone could remember, and had produced many of the librarian's most loyal and elite soldiers. They were proud and dignified, and many of them held up as a shining example of what one of the duodecim could and should be. The Yayoi family was set apart from many of the other duodecim by the purity of their bloodline. When the librarian grades the abilities of their soldiers, many factors are considered, but none carries so much weight as one's aptitude for the use of armagus. Their only thought, servitude of the Imperator, the Yayoi family turned their considerable resources to producing offspring with exceptional armagus aptitude. The Yayoi family bred their children with only the best armagus wielders, ensuring the strength of the next generation. However, the breeding pool from which they could select was quite small, and before long it became necessary to resort to inbreeding. As time passed, the House of Yayoi filled with the best wielders of armagus the world had to offer, and their power, both physical and political, far outstripped that of the other families of the duodecim. Their glory was to be short-lived, however. Generations of inbreeding began to take their toll, and children were born weaker and weaker. The purity of blood that had once been the greatest strength of the House of Yayoi was now its greatest weakness. Such was the family into which Tsubaki was born. Although she was treated as her parents' firstborn daughter, she was anything but. She was merely the first daughter to survive. Her siblings had all passed away, victims of their own pure blood and frail bodies. By some miracle, Tsubaki did not share their weakened constitution. She was healthy and showed mastery in the use of the armagus. Needless to say, she was cherished not only by her parents, but by the whole of the Yayoi family. To young Tsubaki, the Yayoi manor was her entire world. The only people she knew were her parents, her relatives, and her teachers. As a firstborn daughter of the Yayoi family, she was taught one simple truth: that she must serve the Imperator unquestioningly. Such was the childhood of Tsubaki Yayoi.
Yes, that's right. I'm a daughter of the Yayoi family.
A heavy door stood before Tsubaki, the entrance to her shrine hidden beneath the Yayoi family home. Tsubaki found herself drawn.
We should be the ones who set the example for the rest of the duodecim. No, we must be the ones to set that example.
The room was dark. It was the first time Tsubaki had set foot there, but she knew what lay beyond the doors, deep within the innermost chamber.
I'm sure Jin had his reasons for doing what he did.
Slowly, Tsubaki began to walk forward. It wasn't long before she found what she'd came for. Before Tsubaki were a pair of sturdy doors that protected whatever lay behind them with more than their own considerable bulk. Inlaid on the doors was a symbol of the Yayoi family. Tsubaki pulled out a small blade and drew it across the tip of her finger. She felt a momentary prick of pain and caught her breath. A drop of blood slowly formed on her.
I'm sure Noelle has a perfectly good explanation too. I just need to talk to her.
Tsubaki placed her hand atop the family emblem.
But
As if possessed of some strange hunger, the emblem on the door quickly absorbed the blood from Tsubaki's finger. With a metallic thud, the door...
What if everything Captain Hazama told me is true? What if Jin and Noelle... What if they really have turned their backs on the Imperator?
Tsubaki's mind was...
No, it's okay. Even if they have, if I can just talk to them, I'm sure they'll understand. Even so, if they really have betrayed me, I'll have no choice but to kill them.
Her mind set, Tsubaki reached for the object behind the... A sudden sense of vertigo rushed over her, and Tsubaki put a hand to her face to try and calm her suddenly throbbing head. She felt almost as though her strength was being drained out of her.
This is... the Yayoi?
She refused to let her grip weaken and felt her vision grow dark and bloody. Yayoi, one of the sealed weapons. This particular sword has belonged to the Yayoi family for generations. It was known for its ability to steal light, even from the person who...
Let's go. To Kagutsuchi.
We are preparing to dock at the 13th hierarchical city of Kagutsuchi. Please gather your belongings and prepare to disembark.
Oh no! That's my stop!
Tsubaki jerked awake. She drifted off sometime during the last hour, and would likely have missed the port of Kagutsuchi if the announcement had... Her nap had left her body feeling refreshed and focused, but her mind and her emotions were
I should get some fresh air. Oh, it's cold out here.
There wasn't a soul in sight on the deck. Tsubaki wasn't surprised. It was nearly 42 degrees, but the wind made it feel closer to freezing. The rest of the passengers wouldn't have had any reason to step outside when they could stay warm inside.
So this is it. The 13th hierarchical city of Kagutsuchi. I can't believe it's incomplete. It looks so beautiful.
She'd seen pictures of it before in reports and the like, but something about seeing the city in person took Tsubaki's breath away. The city was a living, breathing thing, and that was something no picture could
So, this is where Jin and Noelle have gone.
After filing the proper paperwork with the port authorities, Tsubaki finally set foot on the soil of Kagutsuchi. The sun had already set. People were sparse, but she had expected as much. Tsubaki had landed at Port 5, which was used exclusively by the military.
Well then.
Her goals were clear enough, but she couldn't decide where to begin. Captain Hazama had told her that Jin and Noelle's actions had directly aided the criminal Ragnar the Blood Edge. Having never been in Kagutsuchi before, Tsubaki knew she would have a difficult time finding them without knowing the local
First, I should go to the local librarium office, then gather some information, and...
Mentally building a list of things she would need to do, Tsubaki had barely lifted her foot to set off in the direction of the librarium office when she heard a voice.
Excuse me?
Huh?
Startled, Tsubaki spun around to find a young boy dressed in purple. Towering behind him was a massive...
Nirvana?
Ah, so it seems you know my sister. Pardon me, but you're with the NOL, correct?
Are you...
The boy's face was familiar. Something about it. Then suddenly she remembered. Years ago, at the...
Excuse me?
The child walking through the door was none other than one of the elite students from the elementary division.
Yay! It's little Carl! Come on in!
The girl who lunged at him was my roommate, Mikoto Nania. She just couldn't she just couldn't keep her hands off young boys.
Miss Makoto, you're here?
Of course! I'm always here!
Stop that, Makoto! You're scaring Carl!